Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this session. My name is Vivek Kadam. I welcome you all. Let's do this. So, today we are going to go through the fifth session of our I2E Tech Talk series on Project Online. Okay. I'll quickly do a quick round of introduction. I'll tell you more about myself, our speaker, Mr. Himanshu Arora, a little bit about our company I2E Consulting, and then I will hand it over to Himanshu. Now, this, like I said, is a series. We are on the session 5. There are going to be more such sessions in the future. I would request you all to please attend those sessions as well. Um, this session, we once we are done with it, we'll be taking your questions. So if you have any questions in the middle of the session, you can park them in the Q&A box, or you can even send it to us in the chat box. Again, this is a recorded session, and you will also be getting a recording link so that you can watch the session again if you want and share it with others. All right, so I'll start with myself. My name is Vivek Kadam. I look after the sales at I2E Consulting, and I also act as the account manager for most of our customers. We have with us our speaker, Mr. Himanshu Arora. He's the project online specialist, um, or other project online practice lead at I2E Consulting. He has helped several organizations at I2E and in his entire career with project online implementations. So let us move on to talk about our company, I2E Consulting. Thank you, Himanshu. So we are a IT software services providing company. We have offices in the US and India. We also now have satellite offices in UK, and we recently started operations in Canada as well. This is very recent. Our services, they majorly revolve around project and portfolio management, PPM analytics. We do a lot of work in the cloud technology. We have experience in both AWS and Azure. Uh, we are partners with Microsoft. We are Microsoft Gold partner. We are partners with Automation Anywhere, and then AWS and Planisware. Ever since we've started, we've been working with the pharma industry, and we have also started working with other industries now. However, pharma has been our major focus. We do a lot of work in the data visualization area, and be it Tableau, Spotfire, Power BI, ClickSense, One Pager, you name the tool, and we have the experience in that. So that at a high level is about I2E Consulting. You can always contact us. You can visit our website, follow us on LinkedIn. Himanshu, I would now like to hand it over to you. Please share your screen, and let's go ahead.
Thanks, Vivek, and thanks everyone for joining us today. So we are having the session 5 of the 5-part series that we have. So we have already in the previous sessions, we have talked about Project Online. We have talked about the best practices for scheduling the projects. We have also talked about like how can we handle large programs or projects. And we have also talked about the resource management piece of Project Online. So today what we're going to talk about is about the baseline feature which is available in Project Online. We'll give you a high level overview of baseline, and then we'll go ahead and see how can we create project baselines using Project web application and Microsoft Project. And we'll also talk about the best practices that needs to be done while we are creating baselines. And once the baseline has been set and the project has been rolling out, during the execution, how can the baselines help in tracking the projects? How can we, view the project variances? So this is the agenda for today. With that, let's start with the demo. So this is our landing page for Project Online, and we have seen this earlier as well. Now let's quickly go to the Project Center. So to navigate to the Project Center, either I can click on the project tile here, or I can, on the left hand side quick launch, I can click on this project link. So in the Project Center, we have all the projects listed, and I have the authority or access to all these projects here. To create baselines for the project, what we need to do, we have to open the project. I'll first show you how can you, create a baseline using project web application. Then we'll move to the Microsoft project. I mean, we'll open the same project, Microsoft project, and we'll see how can we create project baselines there. So before we go ahead and show you how can you create baseline, so we need to understand what is a baseline. So baseline is actually a reference point against which we'll compare the actual project progress. I mean, you do not want to get into a situation where your boss asks about the project progress and may ask you like where we are. So I mean, you should not be able to say that like you don't know. So to avoid such situations, we need to have an understanding of the project baseline, and we should be creating project baselines in our project. So first of all, on the project center, in the project center, you will notice that for some of the projects, we have the project metadata, like what is the health, the name of the project, the start and finish dates. We also have two columns here called baseline start and baseline finish. We also have percentage complete, owner, so on. And for a few of the projects, you will notice that there's a date, which is for baseline start and baseline finish, other than the start and finish dates. And for some of the projects, they do not have any date, available for some of the projects. This is because these projects are not baseline. And maybe when we try to track the variances in those projects, we'll not get the clear picture or the correct picture of those projects. Now, to see how can we baseline a project using the project web application, that is Project Online, the browser component of project online system. So let's click on this project, electronic asset tracking update. And to baseline, we need to go to the schedule link. We'll have to click on that. It will take us to the project schedule page. And you will notice that we have got the project schedule available to us, and we can make edits to it. And first of all, when we do the baseline, I mean, once you are done with the planning part, and just before the execution, you need to baseline your project. I mean, it is not a mandatory step, but it is a best practice, or it is something which is we suggest that you should always baseline your project so that you can also track the variances in your project. So to do the baseline, I'm editing this in the browser first. And here on the top of the ribbon, we have got a button called Set Baseline. So when I click on Set Baseline, there are two options. Either I can create baselines or I can clear baselines. If by mistake we have created some baselines, we can go ahead and clear those baselines. And we also have the option to set baselines. So here you'll notice that we have got including this baseline, we call this as a zero baseline. And in addition to that, we have got baseline 1, from baseline 1 to baseline 10. So we can create 10 baselines at max for any given project. Okay. And whenever we do a baseline, so we are creating a reference point, and what all information that gets baseline. I mean, it is the project duration gets baseline, the project schedule gets baseline. When I talk about schedule, it means the project start and finish dates. If we have assignments in our project, then the work that gets populated when we assign resources to activities, that also gets baseline. And the project cost also gets baseline, because if we have resources and costs associated with the project, then the cost also gets baseline. So these are the information that get baseline when we create a project baseline. And it is important. Why? Because when we create a baseline, then we'll have the option to compare the project planned values with the actual progress, and we can also see the variances if any. So to create a baseline, we can go ahead, we can start with baseline 1. I mean, this is the ideal approach, that whenever you are baselining, then you should start with baseline 1 and copy it with copy it to baseline 0. Why? Because project always do the comparison with 0 baseline. So whenever you are creating a baseline, you have to copy the same information baseline 0. Otherwise, you'll not be able to track with the latest, latest plan values. So this is the approach that you should be taking. You should always start with baseline 1, and when if there's a need to create another baseline, let's say baseline 2, then you can do the second baseline and copy the baseline 2 to baseline 0. So this ensures that you are always, comparing with the latest baseline that is available to you. And the other good part of having these baselines, multiple baselines, that you can also compare the two baselines also. And why actually do we need to create multiple baselines? Can't we do it with one baseline? So generally for large projects, there's an option given that you can create up to 10 baselines. And the other use case could be that you have initially planned your project, and because of some reason the project couldn't start for the next 6 months. So the earlier baseline that you've created initially, I mean, it has no relevance now, and there's no point of comparing the the actuals with the baseline which has been created some 6 months back. So I mean, if you have changed the dates to the dates, and then you have to create another baseline, and then you should be comparing the baseline with the latest plan values. So this is the other use case. And I mean, as I said, like, you can always have to have that baseline 0 to compare. And the other good part is, like, you can also compare the different baselines also, and you have a record and or a history of all the baselines that you have created. So I mean, let's say if I want to do a baseline, then what I can do, I can start with baseline 1. So you can notice that it is setting the baseline. You can see that baseline set successfully. And now what I need to do, I mean, I can go ahead and create baseline 0 also. You'll notice that baseline 1 has got the message here that was last saved on this date. Now without making any changes, I need to click on baseline 0 now. You'll notice that again the process has started. And behind the scenes, what it is doing, it is copying the start dates, the finish dates for each activity. If they have got assignments also, the duration, the work, and the cost all get copied to some some other columns that called the baseline columns. So if I click here again, you'll notice that we have got baseline copy to baseline 0. Now we start executing. I mean, when I start updating the progress, so I can compare and I can see what are the variances in terms of the schedule or the work or cost or duration. So this is one way, like, how you can create baselines using project web application. Now I'm closing the project from here, and you can do the clearing also. You can clear baselines as well. It is simple. You can clear baseline. Let's say let me clear baseline 0 first. You can see that baseline has cleared successfully, and I can also clear baseline 1 also. You'll get this message that baseline has been cleared successfully. And if I go back, then you can see it is again blank. So let me close the project from here and open this project in Microsoft Project, which is the other component of the project online application. And it is basically used by the project managers. So to open the same project in Microsoft Project, what you need to do, you need to click on this icon here. Okay, click on open. Yes, the project is opening. So we have this project here now. And you'll notice that I have already added baseline columns here. Baseline started here, baseline finishes here. Then the start dates and finish dates are here, and the actual finishes here. So let me Here this plan start from here. It is actually the start date, and this one is the finish date. Yeah. So you'll notice that we have, since we have not baselined our project, so baseline start and baseline finish. I mean, it is showing blank here. And again, how to baseline? We need to go to project tab. We need to go to set baseline option. Click on this button. Click on set baseline. I mean, then you'll get to see this baseline dialog box. So you'll notice that. Let's talk about what are the different options that are available. First is the set baseline. Again, if I click on this drop down, you'll notice that we have got baseline 0, and from then we have got baseline 1 to baseline 10. So at max, as I said earlier, like you can only baseline up to 10 times. And the other option that you have is the set interim plan. So what is the set interim plan? Basically, it is used when when you want to focus on the current state of the project. Okay. And for smaller projects, what you can do, let's say on a periodic basis, like on a quarterly or a monthly basis, you can create interim plans, and then you can compare this interim dates with the baseline dates and see how the project is progressing. So you can also use this, but the point to be noted here is that whenever you are creating an interim plan, it only uh, creates the or saves the start date and the finish dates in the interim plan. Okay. So to create a baseline, and then we also have the option, like whether we have to create the baseline for the entire project, but we also have the provision where we can create the baseline for some specific tasks or activities. Let's say, I mean, it can be very useful when we have the large projects and we are currently focusing on this one phase of the project, then we can go ahead and create baseline for that particular phase only. And going forward, we'll create other baselines. So again, as I said, like when we want to create a baseline, then as a best practice, we always have to start with baseline 1 and click on OK. You'll notice that still we haven't, there are no dates in baseline start and baseline finish because we have not created baseline 0. So to create baseline 0, again, I need to go to set baseline and again click OK. So when I hit OK here, you'll notice that whatever start dates that we have planned for this activity and the finish dates, they've been copied to baseline start and baseline finish. And the same thing, if I'll put the duration column here, instead of the duration column, baseline duration. So the duration has also been copied to the baseline duration column. And when we actually are in execution, maybe the date that we have planned for our the first activity, because of some reason that we are not starting on the same date, so we can go ahead and change the actual start. And what you'll notice that let's say it was planned to start on Monday 5th of April, but let's say it started on 12th of July. So you'll notice that the actual start has been captured here, and the start date has also been changed. Now the start and finish has become the forecasted dates. If we have got dependencies, then the start date will also change for the dependent activities, and because there are dependencies, then our project finish date will also change. And but you will notice here that baseline start and baseline finish has not changed. Now this is the reference point. Like the planned values has not changed. Whatever we are putting as actuals. So again, the actuals that we are making here, based on that, the projected start and projected finish dates are being saved. I mean, this is a good way of tracking uh, the variances. I mean, generally with the project, whenever we are executing the project, so it is not always the case that whatever we have planned, we go as per the plan. There could be some delays, some deviations. So this way we can keep a track on or we can keep a tab on those deviations, and we can have different methodologies where we can employ those techniques to bring the project back on track. So I mean, in some other session we'll talk about uh, those different methods or techniques. So, but here you can see that we have created a baseline for our project, and as we progress, we can keep updating our actuals and Accordingly, our variances will uh, keep on showing in our project. We'll shortly show the how you can track the variances. The other situation could be that you may need to create some other baseline. That could be because of some change in the project scope. You need to add more activities or some other work items uh, along the project execution. So you can create another baseline after adding that scope items to the project. And that time, what you need to do, you need to go to set baseline, click on set baseline. This time you have to start with baseline 2. Okay, and then do the same thing. You can again update the baseline 0. It is just asking you whether you want to overwrite. Click on yes. Yeah. So now this is the latest baseline against which we are going to compare the project progress. And just to highlight, we have created a graphical indicator here that is indicating whether this task is on schedule or not. I mean, if it is behind the schedule, then it becomes red, and we can put different threshold values here, and we can keep a track of the variances. Now, to track the variances, what we need to do, I mean, there are different views available by default in project in Microsoft Project, where we can go and see what are the different variances in our project in terms of work, cost, and schedule. So what I'm doing here, I'm just right clicking here, and we have, first of all, we have got this variance table. When I click on this variance table, you'll notice that it by default it has got some columns which are available here, and you'll notice that we have put start dates here, finish dates here, then baseline start is available, baseline finish is available. And the finish variance is currently 0. Why? Because we are comparing with the latest baseline. We have re-baseline. That is why we are showing this 0 days coming 0 days as a variance. So if I change the start date again here and make it to some other date. Let me go back to the entry table. Generally, we can update this information from any of the screens. Yeah, let me come here. Let me change it to, let's say, 13th of May. Then again, the dates have been changed. And now if I go to the variance table, you'll notice that for this activity, there's 8 days of variance. And overall, because there could be some activities because of which, I mean, there's still no deviation in the project, overall project finish date. So that is why, I mean, it is still showing 12th of July as the finish date only. But if that activity is, impacting any critical activity, then the project finish date could also change. So this is how you can track the finish variance. I mean, the variance in terms of date. Now, if you want to see the variance in terms of work or cost or the duration, then let's say if we want to see then in the variance in terms of cost, then I have to click the cost table here. And I mean, since generally we do not have any resources assigned to this to the activities in the project. So currently, there's no baseline or no cost. So that is why nothing is being visible here. And the same could be the case of work also. But if we have work assignments in the project and the resources have costs associated with them, then you would also notice the variance in terms of the work and cost as well. So this is how you can keep see the deviations in your project. And let me go back to the entry table. And I mean, for the duration variance, I mean, there's no specific view for that. What you need to do, you can insert the duration variance column. Let me insert the column here, duration variance, and you can then see, that this is the overall variance in terms of the duration. I mean, this is how you can see, like what was the plan date, what was the initial date, and then you can also notice the duration variance. Currently, this is showing that, I mean, with the same pace, because of the dependence that we have, if you go with the same pace, then we are going to complete the project 8 days earlier. So this is how you can track the do the baselining, and you can track the deviations. And if there are deviations for some of the activities and those activities are critical, then you can, as I said, then you can employ some techniques to bring the project back on track. And if the activity is not critical, then in that case, I mean, uh, there's no point of putting resources or starting that activity early. I mean, it will not have any impact because it is already having some float or slack with it. So this is how you can do the baselining, and you can make use of this feature to manage your project effectively. So that was it from today's session. And if you have any questions, then please go ahead and let us know.
Thank you, Himanshu, for this informative session. As Himanshu said, if you have any questions, please go ahead and post them in the Q&A box. We would now like to answer your questions. Also, like I said before, this is a recorded session. This session is being recorded. You will be getting a recording link, and you can take a look at this session again if you want. You can share it with your colleagues and friends. This is going to be a series of I2E webinars. We would want you to participate in the future sessions as well. To know more about I2E consulting and such events that we host, you can follow us on LinkedIn, and you can subscribe to our newsletters. All right, we have a couple of minutes left. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and post them in the Q&A box. If not, and if you want to talk to us offline, you can always reach out to us at sales@i2econsulting.com. All right. So Himanshu, I don't see any questions coming in. I think let's wrap this up. And if I get any emails from any of our attendees, we can definitely have a meeting offline.
Makes sense, Vivek. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, everyone. Thank you so much for your time, Himanshu. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, Vivek.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Yeah, you too. Bye.